Yusuf. Okay. Okay, guys, this is Alan. I'm Tamara's husband from orangebeetle.com. This, of course, is Tamara, my wife, from socratesbike.com. Superstar. Now, the reason we discussed doing this video for a while, to be honest. And most of you might know that Tamara had been off for 2 years having our children. Thank you, darling. Having our children. But she's still been working in the background, apart from the kids, on our businesses, because we do have quite a lot of businesses run through different websites, through Orange Beetle, through Citizen Tbilisi, and a few other bits and pieces doing different things. Now, this year, we went away for a couple of months, as usual, over to Tbilisi. And I'm also a director. Well, I'm a director, writer, filmmaker. So I've been working on a lot of film projects and a lot of writing projects, which meant one of my main websites was kind of neglected a little bit. Now, the interesting thing with this website is I set this website up in 1998, orangebeetle.com. So it's been around a long, long time. And the reason I mention that is it shows that even a website that's been around for a long time can still dramatically lose traffic unless you're maintaining this stuff all the time. So when we got back from Tbilisi, I said to Tamara, I said, look, we need to do something on the traffic on this. What can we do? And within just over 21 days, over 3 weeks, we'd increased the traffic and made the website more visible again by 300, which is an insane amount, by the way. 308%. It's a completely, totally, utterly insane number, especially online, because we know how difficult it can be to drive traffic to websites. Just let someone in here. We know how difficult it can be to drive people through to websites. So there was this project, and there's quite a few other projects as well that we needed to ramp up, but it taught me a huge lesson. I think it taught Tamara a huge lesson as well, which is sometimes when you stand back off traffic, it's so easy to become invisible. I mean, I know we have yoga people on here, we have copywriters who'll be watching this as well, and we have business people who'll be watching this also. I mean, in our town here, we have yoga studios that are absolutely insanely packed. And we have yoga studios that are just completely invisible. We have one at the back here that you just don't see that many people in. And if you use a class, you might get 3 or 4 people in there, where you go to the other one over here, just 1 mile away over here, which is the one we use, and you can find it packed with 25 to 30 people in. So take plenty of notes, listen very carefully. Okay. And Tamara's going to take you through all this different stuff that we've been doing for such a long, long time. Just mute everyone, that's it. Yeah. And I'll hand you over to Tamara. So here's Tamara. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.
So before technician, so can you unmute everyone so it's easier?
Sorry, guys. Just going to do something very, very quickly. I think from here, I'm not 100% sure how you do it from here.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Or maybe if everybody can just mute it, that would be fine.
Okay, if everyone can just make sure they're muted, please, that would be great.
Just for the background.
Just because I know how weird these things can be, just to triple check. If everyone can just type in the chat at the side, can you hear us? That would be great. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, guys. Well, welcome, and I'm really grateful that you took your time to join me today. Some of you have been receiving my emails, I don't know, maybe 13 years, 14 years. Some of you probably quite recent, but I'm really, really excited to be able to reconnect. And there are some people that are unable to attend due to time difference, and I look forward to sending the details later if you're watching that as a replay. Just a quick before we start, we just wanted to just go through very briefly. So this presentation will probably take about 1 hour. You're welcome to ask any questions. If you want to ask questions, just type in the chat I'll answer either as we go along or maybe at the end of the presentation. You can watch on a replay if you want. I'll send a handout after the call and a recorded webinar as well. And yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay. So the goal of this webinar is to help you so that by the end of the call, I'd like you to have some tools and ideas that you can immediately apply to your business, whatever the business is, and increase your visibility. Now, some of you probably have businesses that are already established, some of them maybe for 15 years or more. And I know that there are some businesses that are just starting out. So it will be applicable for whether it's a startup or established business. At the end of this call, I'd like to give you the ability where you can identify why you are perhaps not as visible as you can be, and what are the opportunities that you can really use, and determine the best strategies that you can use for your business and apply straight away so you can see the results right away. Plus, I'm going to share some current tools that we use that are quite effective that you can also use them. This is applicable whether you are a local business. It's perfect. I know, for example, we have local pharmacies that will be listening to this call. Like Alan mentioned, yoga studio, or we have construction company, for example. If you have an e-commerce website, doesn't matter what you're selling online, whether it's one product, 100, perhaps you're selling classes online. So this is this will give you some ideas how you can enhance what you have. And if you have a brick and mortar business where you rely on clients to come through the shop, for example, we have salon businesses that will be watching. Like, for instance, we have, like Alan mentioned, so we have property businesses. It's pretty much brick and mortar, but we rely 100% on digital advertising to attract international clients. So we'll be covering a little bit that as well. And just for those of you who perhaps never met me before, I've been marketing online since 2009. And I've been working with clients since 2010. It started as kind of in the beginning, I started working with just a handful of clients. Then I moved on to establish Yoga Business Academy, which was focused at the time exclusively to yoga businesses and holistic businesses who wanted to generate more clients, get more clients, more business. And then it kind of evolved, and the Socrates Bike was born in 2013. At the same time, we started our hospitality business. And everything that we did, and Alan mentioned as well, we have permanent collaborations between me and my husband, and everything that we run is purely based on digital marketing. All our businesses, some of them are brick and mortar, others not, but we rely 100% on traffic and visibility. So that's essentially all I've been doing since, especially 2010. So the question is, why are you having a visibility problem? So why aren't you as visible as you could be? Or perhaps, or perhaps you have certain visibility, but, you're ready to scale up. And there are a few important aspects that you need to be aware of, so that you understand kind of the bigger picture. And the number one, I believe, is in the changing of the algorithms. And what that really simply means is that, for example, if you're using currently, say, social media, or even Google advertising, or whatever way you're marketing your business online, if the social media, for example, changes their algorithms today, that means that you become instantly either less visible or completely invisible. And every now and again, that happens quite often. For example, if you were able to share your message in front of hundreds of people, tomorrow you might just only be able to kind of get in front of just 5-10 people, and that's it. So that is one of the biggest challenge. It used to be a lot easier in the past, but it's not anymore. And then we have also current trends. There is no question that the post-pandemic and what happened during pandemic definitely shifted how people are, how people kind of search online. But it also created a lot of opportunities for smaller businesses or even just independent businesses. For example, like one of the trends is probably people really like to look for local businesses, what's around them. So, for example, like people will go in and, you know, I don't know, like say yoga studio near me, just really looking for local businesses, and whoever essentially shows up first gets the business. And also another trend is people are really focused on giving their business to more ethical kind of businesses, and they're really actively searching. This is something that didn't really happen as much in the past. But on the other hand, it's a really great opportunity, especially if you are in the business that provides exclusive service, or even like, you know, in a holistic world, having that kind of business is great, because people are actually really actively looking for ethical businesses. So that's one of the things. And of course, competition. Like, for example, we're working right now with a client that has a business that's been running successfully for over 15 years. It's a construction business in the construction industry. And although they're doing really well, suddenly the competition with less experience is far more visible, and they're just taking the share of the business just simply because the competition kind of understands, perhaps because they're new, more how to really invest in visibility and how to show up. So so competition is really like the big issue. And I think that's probably like top 3. And of course, you have then other kind of issues, which is, you know, relatively poor search engine optimization. Perhaps, you know, you have a website, or your business have a website, or websites that are not quite optimized for search and visibility, or it's an old kind of established website, and it's easy to kind of let go on that side, and all that builds up, and the result is you're not as visible as you could be. So now the question is, how do you okay, so by the way, if you have any questions, or if that kind of sounds like you, or if you know, if you want to share your about your business and have specific questions, please feel free to ask. So if that sounds like you, you know, if that happened to you, for example, if you have a, you know, established business and suddenly you know, you're not really as visible, or you've lost your visibility, you know, please feel free to, you know, share the details, and see if we can, you know, answer any questions around that as well. Okay, so but before we start anything, what you want to really have a look at, so that's a general background why you might be suffering from poor visibility, but what is it that we can do. And the number one is really to, first of all, to analyze what is it that is wrong. So what's gone wrong? And you want to look at the several kind of different points. And the number one is, I'm using word kind of your current strategy. And it's a little bit of a kind of, kind of corporate word. I don't really particularly like using it, but all it means is what is it that your goal is, and what is it that you are currently using to achieve your goals. For example, I'm taking if you have I don't know, local community pharmacy, for example, and that's your business. What's the strategy to continuously attract new businesses, and what's the strategy to make sure that clients are coming in your pharmacy and not next door, because the competition is really big? So what is it that you're doing to actively generate new clients and actively keep your new clients through digital marketing in this particular case? And then you want to have a look at what does that mean? For example, so you can have a look at what's my website like? For example, how many visitors my website is receiving every month. Now, you may have a really good website, but you want to have a look how many people are arriving every day and every month. For example, you may be in a business where you really don't need to have a lot of visitors to generate leads. For example, the client we're working now, we're working on a kind of specific number. So for the client to generate about 20 leads, we know that he needs to get 667 people through the website, but it has to be targeted people. So what's your number? For example, if you're not really getting as little as, say, 400 or 500 pounds, 400 or 500 visitors a month to your website, it's probably going to be quite difficult to actively sell from the website. So it also depends on your business, but it also, it's important to understand how many people are going through. And then you want to have a look if you're using social media. Now, what happens is a lot of businesses kind of got carried away and just invest a lot of time on social media and, posting, and a lot of people do great job posting quite long posts, etc. But you want to understand that's all very good, but how that translates in terms of new clients. You might be getting all your clients through social media, that's great, but you might be just, oh no, so all I've done is I've spent all this time and I only get like maybe a couple of clicks and I only reach 10 people. So you just want to have a look at your current materials. You also, depending on your business, you want to have a look at your maybe email strategy. Are you sending out regular newsletters? That's just another way to drive people back to your website. Do you actively market to your database? And have a look also at any paid advertising, whether you are using currently or if you've used in the past. A lot of times what happens is businesses try kind of paid advertising, for example, Google advertising or Facebook advertising. And if it doesn't work, they kind of drop because it just becomes spending money and doesn't really bring any return. So you want to have a look what possibly gone wrong. Is it simply people didn't really take any interest in your advertising? Is it because they wanted to find out more, but your website didn't really provide enough answers? So you want to review everything that you currently have, even for example, if you're using paper flyers. Now, that's not necessarily digital marketing, but at the end of the day, that kind of still links to digital marketing, as in, you might have paper flyers, but you're still trying to take people to your website. If you're selling, I don't know, if you're selling hair, if you're a hairdresser selling your hair services. So have a look at that. So that would be the number one, that what you want to do before you even start increasing the online marketing strategies. Does that if that makes sense, that's fine. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Now, once you've done it, so we can then move and determine what's the kind of the best visibility strategy that you can use for your business, because it's really different for every business. And you want to ask several questions. For example, what's my kind of desired outcome? For instance, you might be doing already quite well, and your outcome is that, okay, I just really want to now double of what I'm getting at the minute. So if you're, I don't know, if you're getting, say you're running yoga retreats, and you are getting, I don't know, 10 leads. So your goal might be, I really need to get 10 more inquiries in order to sell more of my retreats. So whatever your outcome is, so that's just kind of the number one question to ask. And also you want to be realistic about your budget. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a huge budget, but you want to have a look, what is it that, how much budget you have. So is it just a little bit that you can test, or do you not have a budget at all? That's fine. So, but just you want to kind of ask yourself that question. And also, what kind of skills you have, and if you have time or not. What I mean is, for example, you might be quite skillful at even at digital marketing and, you know, promoting yourself online, but you simply may not have enough time. Like, for example, I remember, like, I think it took me several years after being, you know, being self-employed to hire a bookkeeper, because I always thought, you know, oh, it's not such a big deal. I can just do it myself, you know. But the problem was, I hated doing it. I used to just be late all the time. I would get fines here and there, and eventually I just came to the conclusion that it doesn't matter how skilled I am, I just don't have time. And, you know, it was just probably one of the best things to do, to just budget and hire somebody that would help me. So it's just review what is it that your current situation is. Now, how do you determine what is it that you want to use? Now, it's easy to kind of want to do everything, but that's not necessarily always the most effective way. For example, in your particular case, so there are two ways that you can use. You can be, your clients, for example, might be aware that they have a problem, and they're already typing in, you know, solution to whatever you're providing. For example, if you're a yoga teacher again, somebody already who wants to practice yoga will be typing yoga teacher near me. Or you are a yoga teacher and there is somebody that has a really bad back and doesn't really know that yoga can help. So that person will not be necessarily typing in, you know, I want yoga teacher to fix my back. So it just depends who your customers is, and who your customer is, what is it that they're thinking, what kind of problems they have, and how they are trying to find that answer. Now, Google advertising might be really what you need to try, or that might not be the, you know, the best way. For example, social media advertising, like if you're selling certain merchandise, social media might be the best tool for you to try. So it depends again who your customers are. Or what you might really need to try is content strategy. What I simply mean is that, for example, you may just simply need to launch email newsletters, especially if you already have existing list of clients, and that's probably, you know, one of the relatively easiest way to start driving increasing visibility again. Now there is a kind of problem with content strategy and blogging, etc. And it's probably worth mentioning here. I mentioned that the landscape, digital marketing changed, and for example, like talking about the content, I don't know if you noticed, but whenever you type in anything, it often, the companies like, I don't know, recruitment companies or Forbes or like really big names kind of seem to be everywhere. So if you are a local business, you can sometimes create these great articles, write great blogs, provide all kinds of solutions for your customers, but suddenly, your customers type in and it's somebody who works at Forbes wrote a great article, half not as good as yours, but they get more visibility. Now, that's both can be a problem, but it can be also an opportunity, because probably your customers don't want anybody working for Forbes, so they're probably actively looking for you. But what I'm trying to say is that you really need to kind of think about what is it that your customers really want from you, and then try to build around it, and not to be too overwhelmed if your competitors is suddenly Forbes or The Economist, because you can still win. Like, for example, like it would be a good example to bring up. We have the hospitality business. We focus exclusively on expats, and our competition was I don't know, Airbnb. So the question is, how do you win Airbnb traffic? But one thing we realized is that our customers didn't really want that kind of service, so they wanted something more exclusive, something completely different that big companies just didn't provide and couldn't provide. So we just found that kind of really narrow niche and really kind of focused on that, and that really worked. So have a look at your own business, and it doesn't matter how big the competition is. So probably you may just need just one ideal customer, or you might need like 1,000, but you can still build around it. And of course, perhaps, podcast is another great way to increase visibility. You can people love listening. It's just statistically people continue to listen to podcasts. They love watching videos. It's not going to go away, so that's another way as well. And of course, you may just simply like need to tweak like your website with the basic SEO. Like Alan mentioned, the increase in 300% and what we really did is like we just tweaked and we did a lot of tweaks, but we only kind of tweaked a lot of SEO on our existing pages. So what we did is we went in, we had a look, really analyzed what went wrong, what was the reason why we were getting less visible, and we identified a few things, like, for example, maybe the linking wasn't done right, or we just sometimes we forgot the keywords, or we didn't forget the keywords but they were no longer relevant, so they had to be updated. So we had to spend a lot of time, but it was essentially still tweaks, but the results were immediate. So just to kind of summarize, so you basically want to have a look at your business, your customers, and then determine which one you want to focus on. If you can do all 10, great, but sometimes it's just not advisable. It also depends how much time you have, how much resources. Do you have, I don't know, a team of people that can help you implement? If not, it's better to be realistic and focus on one thing at a time. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And then the next step is, once you identified what is it that you want to achieve and what you think is the best strategy, is to start launching and start applying. And that's when it's really exciting to see the results coming through. Now, to analyze everything, to kind of review, and then to come up with the okay, this is what I need to really try to increase my traffic visibility. That's quite time consuming, and it can take anything. It depends on the business. It can take, I'd say at least it will take sometimes even we work on a 4-week basis, because it does take a lot of time. It takes also time to research your competition, clients, etc. But once you've done all that, so you can then now start applying those new traffic kind of rules and start launching your new campaigns. Now, what I mean about campaign is that, for example, okay, you can say that, right, I'm going to try Google Ads. I need this month, I need to get just 5 leads, and I'm going to try to advertise through Google, and this is what I'm going to do. Once you've started, the most important aspect is to test whatever you're doing. Now, we usually kind of allocate always test budget. So sometimes the clients can come in and say, oh, you know, you can spend X, Y, Z, you know, I'm happy to spend as long as I'm getting the return, which is fine, it's great. But we always kind of take a step back and say that it's actually not necessary to spend in the test budget a lot of money. Like, for example, it depends on the business, but, you know, test budget can be as little as, I don't know, £20 maybe a day, depending what you're doing. £50 we're working on successfully. And all it's designed to do is to give you an indication whether whatever you're trying to do with your traffic, you want to just simply test, am I getting more visibility or not? Now, it used to be where you kind of, in the past, we used to run the test and you kind of, you know, we would check maybe like every couple of days. But these days you want to almost check every day. Am I getting the traffic? Am I getting the right traffic? Are the right people going through my website? Or are they actually seeing my ads? If they're not seeing, what's the problem? There are a few things usually you want to have a look. For example, if people are not really clicking on your ads, that means you probably need to review your ad, your headline, your call to action. So this is usually, you know, maybe the bullet points, however you try to advertise, the words that you use. That makes a difference. So you want to kind of have a look at at your own materials. If it's working, it's fine. If it's not working, you want to change it. And at this stage, it's probably worth kind of mentioning that we like to test quite a few different ads. You know, we can test sometimes 20, but you can start with testing 2 different ads, see what works. Once you start doing that, then you will get an indication. So if, for example, you might be getting really big interest, people are wanting to find out more about your business, but once they land on your website, they may not be going any further. What that means is they may not be making inquiries or, you know, phoning or whatever way you're hoping to reach your customers. And that's usually because there is a problem with the website. What I mean is you may simply not be able to answer your prospects questions, or you don't have, you know, enough benefit driven you know, information. So that this is where you want to kind of really review and have a look. So if you're getting the inquiries, that's fine. All it means is, you know, do you need to tweak? If not, that's fine. So you just kind of then start to slowly increase the budget, etc. It's worth really mentioning at this stage is that I've mentioned about Google a few times. Say if you decide to use Google advertising, it's really changed, as in it's great, but you really have to be careful at the same time that it's easy to kind of overspend money. Like I work with I spend a lot of time talking with Google consultants. I probably speak to them at least 2 or 3 times a week. And they're great, and of course they're great, but you need to know when to listen to the advice and when the advice is actually really completely irrelevant. Because at the end of the day, you know your business, you understand your business, and sometimes the advice will just lead to just wasting a lot of money. So you just kind of have to be really careful and take advice, but not all of the advice, so to say. And you know, check the outcome. So are you getting more sales? Are you getting, you know, more leads? For example, if you have an e-commerce website, or if you're just launching an e-commerce website, if you're trying to sell your yoga classes online, or you have other form of kind of online classes or whatever you're trying to sell online, are you getting more sales? Are you selling more or not? Sometimes one form of advertising is not for a particular business, so you may just need to kind of change the platform. So are your customers maybe more on kind of social media, or are they simply, for example, like one of Alan's businesses is you can advertise all you want on social media, it's just not going to work. So it's all about more you know, creating great content and reaching people that way. Once you've done once you've tested, then you can just really start to scale up and then create visibility from multiple kind of channels. And that's when you can do exciting things like, you know, people can start seeing your message everywhere, whether they go on Google, social media, on somebody else's website, etc., and then really start to kind of increase visibility that way. I hope that makes sense. Now, there are kind of tools that you can use that will help you with that. And, you know, I've written down here some of them. Probably some of you already are using. And if you know, these are some of the kind of tools that we use all the time. You can research more, but for the websites, if you have a website or don't have a website, there are, we use Wix, which is great. It has lots of kind of capabilities in terms of you know, great for SEO. It's really good to build the database. Squarespace is also very good. We use it. They all have kind of their strengths and maybe not disadvantages, but may not be suitable for all kind of businesses. If you have an e-commerce website, for example, Shopify is great. Personally, I'm a really great fan of Shopify if you're selling anything online, simply because they have pretty much everything that you need to sell the products, physical products or digital products. You know, you can use things that will help you increase sale, you know, generate more sale, etc. But Squarespace at the same time offers the similar kind of capabilities. Perhaps you need kind of industry specific tools, whatever your industry is. There might be something that the industry is using and you want to tap into that as well. For example, I mentioned Airbnb. Of course, we still use Airbnb, but we don't necessarily rely on that. But as a secondary kind of tool, we use Airbnb for hospitality business. So it just depends what your business is all about. If you want to, for example, start podcasting, we use Libsyn, so you can have a look. It's a great way to share your message. It's also possible once you set it up, you know, it gets distributed to Apple Podcasts, etc., and people do find it quite easily. If you want to really step up your email marketing, you can have a look at newsletter marketing tools. We use MailChimp. We've used in the past GetResponse. They're all great. So none of them are really like necessarily bad or not so bad, but it just depends what you need, depends on the budget, etc. And I mentioned about, you know, have a look at what works, what doesn't work. Probably the best thing to have a look is have a look at Google Console, Google Analytics. It simply will tell you how many people are going through your website or not going through, and what are the problems as far as kind of technical problems are concerned. And you can use beyond Google as well, of course. Bing and all other directories are still relevant. For example, depending what kind of industry you're in, you can still use online directories where your brand kind of shows up. It may not be the primary source of traffic, but it definitely kind of helps. And we use a lot as a marketing tool, Canva, to create any kind of small promotional material. So it's really useful, especially if you're not very tech savvy. I use it all the time. And for videos, I use Wave if you want to edit really quickly. So that's a really great tool as well. So these are the kind of current tools, but again, you can have a look at more of what might be relevant for you. So, well, I hope that's been helpful. And there are a few things to just kind of go through again, which is a few important things to keep in mind. Understand your goals, ambitions. What is it that you are hoping to achieve? Discover any challenges and opportunities. Research solutions. Ask for help. It's really important that you select the most appropriate marketing tools. I went through a few, and just write it down. What is it that you can do today to increase your visibility, to become more visible, and launch it right away. Don't wait too long. Obviously, put the foundations right, and then start really kind of step up and just start launch and testing. And once you've done it, you want to really first stabilize your how visible you're becoming, and then you want to keep on kind of build the momentum slowly. That means, for instance, if you're making one idea work, for example, you're getting kind of new clients, say, through Google, so you want to then increase that and move on to the different kind of platforms, whether it's social media or any other form of advertising, and then really want to start to scale up with and bring everything together and really start to scale up. So, well, I hope this presentation been helpful, and I hope you got some ideas, etc. If you have any questions, I'll be here. I'll be happy to answer. If you want to type, I'll be happy to answer it. If not, you can follow Socrates Bike. You can subscribe to the newsletters. Go to www.socratesbike.com. You can follow us on social media at Socrates Bike. And if you have any questions, if you want to discuss further about your business, visibility, etc., you can send me an email. You can do it through a website, or you can just use my personal email. It's probably fastest and most reliable. So if there are no questions, that's fine. We can finish the presentations here, and I'll send the recordings as well as the handouts for you later as well. Thanks for turning up, and it's nice to see you all. Thanks a lot. Bye. Has it finished? Oh, no.